Yes, I wanted to talk about the Portland Trailblazers. They're missing McCollum and Nurkic, yet they're fourth in the West. 17-10 record is solid. It's solid, and they've actually won 5 straight as well. Is it time we put more respect on Damian Lillard's name and the team's name? Who wants this?
For me, I agree with everything Stephen A said. For me, I'm just a small humble
Karim,
guy
why are you shocked?
from Rayleigh, just a humble guy from a little town in Essex. So my opinion doesn't mean much in the world of basketball media, but I've always rated him highly.
You really have, Tobes.
I've always
really
rated
have.
this guy
I'll give
so
you that.
hard. Like you asked me a few pods ago, Matt, like what's my ceiling, and I said Western Conference Final because I think why can't he take him there? Like he's sick. Like he's one of those players I really like. He's always killed it. He's given us some great moments, great highlights in both regular and playoff season. And the thing I actually like about him is, and his stats speak for himself. He's averaging just under 30 points this season, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, good splits in terms of percentages. The thing that really shines through for me is like Stephen A sort of highlighted with the clutch is his leadership. So stuff you can't tangibly see or really feel. But you can tell this guy leads his team and he's got a certain swag about him. And I love that he's so composed and remains cool. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's different types of players, different types of personalities in every sport and every game. But he beats you by leaving out on the court, There's very little trash talk to him. There's very little, let me get up in your face. He just kills you. And he's got a rep now. He's got an official rep in the league of being a killer. Silent killer. Dame time.
Killer.
That's what I like about the guy. And I think the only way is up. It's going to help a lot when McCollum gets back. And they're doing super well to be where they are in the West. So
yeah. Ollie, okay, we've spoken a little about Dame Lillard, but as a team, the Trailblazers, you've got to put respect on them as a team as well, surely. Like, what makes them decent? What makes them so good? Because I look at them and I think without Nurkic, without McCollum, I thought they would really struggle. I thought, they're going to start dipping in this table. I thought with the Nuggets there, the Mavs there, they'll start just descending from the table, but obviously not. What's impressed you about these Trailblazers?
No, obviously they've had the team for quite a while now. It's always sort of been spearheaded with CJ and Dame Lillard, but they've also got sort of one thing that's missing from a lot of teams is sort of like the old heads in the locker room as well. So they've got Carmelo over there at the moment. You've got Kantner, who's been in the league for a little while now as well. And they've got some decent pieces that they've sort of brought around, as in who's got Gary Trent Jr., Al Fernie Simmons as well, Derrick Jones Jr., and they all seem to be playing pretty well together. But effectively, I think it does come down to pretty much Dame Lillard at the moment, who's been sort of dragged them up, kicking and screaming up the table at the moment.
Well, again, the disrespect stops today. We will put some respect on that. In fact, shall I make it official? We will echo the calls of Stephen A. Smith.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on.
And we don't do that often. We only do that about 10 times a show. So fair play to Dame Lillard. Right. K-Dot, tell me, who this is a question I've grown to like to ask on this show. Who are the Portland Trailblazers sneakily better than? I always say that in the context of, if we actually look at the standings, I think most of us had Utah, Lakers, Clippers as the top 3. And I think a lot of us had Denver coming in that 4th spot. But after that, it's kind of a free-for-all. Who are they better than, and where are they going to finish in the rankings as it stands, in your opinion?
So just before I touch on that, I think I have to disagree with Stephen's take. No, not at the fact that he's an absolute killer, but the fact that he's saying that no one respects him. I mean, people have been respecting him for the last 6 or 7 years. I've seen so many highlights of his clutch plays and all that kind of stuff. No one has ever said that. I don't think he's underrated. I think people really, really respects Dame Lillard, especially as the fact that he could have chosen to leave Portland and he stayed there. And I think people have given him his kudos for that.
Okay, all right.
Like,
Okay, Kato, okay, fine. I'll push back on that then. Okay, who are you having? Dame or Steph this season?
It's a tough one.
You see what I mean?
It's a tough question. And I think personally, I like Steph. I just like his game. I like Steph.
And this is what Stephen A is saying. If for some reason he doesn't have a certain je ne sais quoi, this season his team is doing better than the Golden State Warriors. He's putting up equivalent Steph numbers. How many Steph highlights have you seen today? Listen, and I love Steph. You know what? Let's see what our followers said. Just while you're talking, I'm going to look at see what our followers said, because we did put this to a poll earlier. But go on, Kato. I'm listening.
No. I was just saying that everyone knows his capacity to win games by himself, and I think that I think there's a bit of Portland are a small market, so if he had gone to, say, I don't know, the Bulls or a larger market or whatever, maybe people would recognize his achievements a little bit more. But I think he needs to take ownership of that, where he's decided to stay in Portland. So that's just my opinion. So going to your question about
No. You can't just bring smoke like that on the show and then just
I don't get it. Like, everyone recognizes him as a superstar.
Okay. Let's bring the boys back in. Let's bring the boys back in. Okay, I think that, what you're saying is not unfair. Okay, Ollie, do you think overall, from someone who consumes a lot of basketball, takes everything, do you think that Dame Lillard is underappreciated, overappreciated, or appreciated appropriately?
Yeah, I think the word is underappreciated. I don't think he's ever been underrated, but most definitely underappreciated.
Toby, what are your thoughts? I think underappreciated, overappreciated, or appropriately appreciated. So Karim's saying kind of appropriately appreciated for what he is.
I'm somewhere between under and appropriately. I'm somewhere in between that. I think the more small, I'm on that fence. That small market syndrome does play a big factor. Because honestly, if imagine him just being in the Mecca or playing for the Bulls. Yeah. Honestly,
it's true. Julius Randle gets more highlights.
Julius Randle's getting I'm giving him mad love. I'm showing him more mad love. I'm showing more love to Randle than I am Lillard, which makes no sense. So I do think so. And he's cold. He's actually cold. Like, I'll never forget the thing about Dame is that he had that All-Star weekend where he competed in everything. I was like, who is this guy? You know how LeBron's never done dunk contest.
Yeah, that is the most Dame thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was like, how could this guy compete in the skills, dunk, 3-point, everything in one night? I was like, I love him already.
What a legend!
Even that didn't get much respect. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's just maybe his style, but yeah, okay. I think he's appreciated.
Okay, Kato, I've calmed down. Okay, I've calmed down now. What I would say in support of what you're saying is, firstly, I agree. People do recognize him as a clutch player. Dame time, this, that, and the other. I will also say this: I was very surprised at you, K-Dot, that you didn't hit him with a wonderful, because I thought because he hasn't really. No, you know what? He's knocked people out in playoffs. He's had his playoff moments, but he's not a champion. He's not a champion. Simple as that. So his appreciation levels is maxed out in a sense. So I accept that he's not a champion. I accept that he's had some playoff gaffes.
And I think there's times when the Portland Trailblazers have fallen short.
I think
no one really talks about that either. But I'm not taking away from his superstarness. I'm really not. I just don't understand why A was so passionate about giving him credit that I think everyone gives. I don't understand why Stephen A was so adamant about giving him credit that I think people give him credit for anyway.
Personally, I
don't really understand.
Personally, I think it's because
those stats that Stephen A threw out, we already knew that. He's not saying anything we don't know, so I don't really get the.
Personally, I think it's because we're talking about Steph so much. We talk about Steph so much every night when he does X, Y, and Z. We talk about him so much, and that he's this and he's that and he's rah. But with Lillard, maybe not so much. But fair enough. Okay, fair. Listen, I'm here for the healthy conversation. I'm here for the healthy conversation.